Task 1 of 6. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing. For task 1 of 6, you're going to be focusing on research. So, to cover the 1.1 criteria, you're going to delve deep into your domain, your area, your subject specialism, within which you're going to be creating your final major project. For task 1 research, you're going to work individually. So, you're going to take time to work in a focused, concentrated manner with effort and dedication on something that matters to you, an area that you want to create within. You're going to look at a range of research sources, and I take a range to mean at least 5 sources. So, if you want to make a music video for your FMP, I want you looking at least 5 music videos, or certainly 5 sources that influence your FMP. So it might be looking at Beyonce's Lemonade, the visual album. It might be looking at Childish Gambino's This Is America. It might be looking at a scene from a film which has a style you want to learn from. It might be you taking an animation example you saw from the 90s and having that as one of your sources. It might mean you taking a title sequence from an online episode you saw and taking that font and that style. 5 sources need to go into this research. At least 5 examples of the things that you are interested in, want to delve deep into, need to be apparent here. To support your FMP, you need to have looked at 5 at least examples, styles, techniques, creators, however you want to do it. In the past, we've had someone look at 5 films of the same director. We had somebody in the past look at 5 different songs from 5 different artists in the same genre. So long as it relates to your FMP, so long as it inspires your idea, so long as it shows that you're discovering, foraging, and then extracting ideas from 5 different sources and then putting that into your FMP, that's great. So, here's what you're going to do in your research, and you're going to delve deep into your particular area you want to look into. But you aren't limited by just one area. You can look around the area, look in different genres, you can look in different countries and different time periods and analyze. This word is crucial here. For your visual analysis, some of you found that quite challenging. I appreciate it is difficult, isn't it? Analysing, thinking deeply, using terminology to articulate why media connects the way it does to its audience. But the reason I've been asking you to do that is because this is where the merit and distinction criteria lies. The ability to analyse and look at professional examples and to understand how they use semiotics and media language to put together these different constellations of signs to communicate to an audience. That different language of media is what we're looking to instill and embed in you. So, your ability to analyse is crucial here. Analyse similar media artifacts to what you want to create to help you gain an idea of the codes, so the combinations of signs. For example, a horror film, a similar combination of codes might be a mask, low-key lighting, a creaky door. Those signs individually don't mean much, but put together, and that's the code of a horror film, I think you'll agree. What are the codes in your particular domain? What are the conventions, the tropes, the expectations, the norms? What are the techniques? Using technical terms here, in terms of camera shots, if it's visual, for example, in terms of stings and themes and motifs, if it's audio, the techniques from a technical viewpoint, and the methods, the way things are done. What are the methods that are used to actually create these examples that you found? How do people do it? Do they work in teams? Do they work individually? Do they work collaboratively? Do they work for studios? How is it done? Looking at your 5 sources, you need to tell me about these things. Really delve deep into them. Tell me about the codes they've created within them, the conventions that are at play, the techniques that are present, and what methods were used to put this into the world. Delve deep in the 5 examples that you are interested in, that influence your idea. Discuss how each of the 5 sources, or artifacts as I've called them here, inspires you. What do you like about it? What do you take inspiration from? What techniques and methods, so the technical side of things for techniques, and the methods, the way they did it, look into the backstory of the way it was built. It's always interesting to find that out. That you could take inspiration from, you could use. I had a student a couple of years back who found that by giving students, or rather their actors, the start and end of a scene, but allowing them to improvise in between, as long as they knew the start and end of the scene, they could get some really interesting, authentic, sincere performances in their short film. And they found that from their research, where they saw great filmmakers keep scripts relatively loose and open in the 70s. Delve deep into things you're interested in these 5 sources, and you'll find some cool methods you could use, I'm sure. In your research, I want you to summarize what makes a good professional product similar to your chosen project. By looking at these 5 examples, you'll be learning how to actually make a project like the one you've got in your mind, because you'll be looking into how greatness is created. You're also going to be reflecting on this. How will you improve your skills or techniques in order to meet this idea in your head, to make it so? We need to attend the workshops that Scott and Jay are putting on. We need to use your time outside of lessons to come and practice and do deep work, delving into tutorials and just playing with intention. Using Adobe software, for example. We need to rehearse and practice some elements of your FMP. We need to make prototypes. How will you improve your skills or techniques for your FMP? You need to answer this question in your research, because I'm going to be marking this and looking for you to answer this question. There is a question mark there with intention. And lastly, what issues might you encounter producing a project like this? What barriers are there? Time, resource, facilities, access to the estates, the rooms, the locations, reliability of friends and fellow students, external factors such as, well, don't need reminding, do you, of the certain external factor that might come around to stop our progress. All the while, I want you to think deeply about one term in particular, and this term in particular is one that matters to me. So I've mentioned it a few times already, but I'm going to mention it again here because ultimately this is a task about context. What I mean by that is I want you to think about the time, the place, the history, the people that create your 5 sources. Does the context shape the sort of work that they are? If an artist is born in Ukraine in the 90s and then produces a short film in 2022, I'm sure that the context of what's happening in that person's life, the time, the place, the person they are, informs the sort of work it is. If they are in a particular context, a time and place in history, that shapes the sort of work it is. With your 5 sources, I want you to talk about context. It is crucial to me that you speak about context, the time, the place, the history of the creatives that made your 5 sources, okay? Really important that you do that. Now, the submission evidence for Task 1 research is as follows. It's a research essay analysing, looking deeply into the requirements for your FMP. And the way you're going to do that is by looking at 5 sources that inspire your idea, considering the questions that I have put above. So, context. That's the phrase in particular that I am keen to impress upon you here. Let's look at how I'm going to mark this. So, in Google Classroom, you will notice that you've got another sheet with your brief. It looks like this. It covers my assessment decision. This covers 1.1 of the brief. Task 1 research. So when I mark this in June, just full transparency, here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be looking at this here, reading your work and deciding whether you've understood context and shown an understanding of it, the subject, made good judgments, articulated yourself well, clarified what you're going to do based on your research, and award you either the pass, merit, or distinction based on your understanding of this key word here, context, the time, place, history, when something was made. Have you understood that? Do you understand it, what it means? Have you made good judgments based on that? When and where and who makes something ultimately does influence the sort of work it is. That understanding of context will really help you achieve those merits and distinctions. When I mark your research, I'm also going to be thinking about this. Is it just sufficient information that's been gathered, which is just about enough for the pass level to develop your ideas? Or, and this is what I'm hoping, is it thorough, detailed, shows passion, shows that you've investigated, thought deeply about this, not just superficially done it as a box ticking exercise, but investigated like a detective, like a scientist, delve deep into your 5 sources that inspire your idea. Relevant sources. Look beyond what the YouTube algorithm tells you. Speak to your teachers. Richard, Michael, Amanda, and myself are here. We're experienced. We can connect you with examples, inspirations that will hopefully open your mind up to different things you've not considered before. Be open-minded. Look around the idea to influence it. not just the obvious things. Get out your echo chamber, get out of your filter bubble for this one. Have you used different examples to inform, support, and develop your ideas? Have you been open-minded to discover things? If you have been, and you've also shown a good understanding and good judgment and articulated your ambitions, then you're giving me no choice but to give you a merit for the research part, for distinction. Have you been comprehensive, covered every single bullet point in that brief? Have you shown good understanding of subject context? Have you communicated complex ideas and understood complex, interesting ideas and articulated your ambitions, how you're going to take those sophisticated ideas and then melt it into your own idea, fuse it into your own creative concept? Have you got a clear purpose as a result of your research? Has your research led to your FMP idea? Can we see through the research your idea forge from it? Have you worked independently? To identify thorough and sustained research? So reading, listening, watching, discovering, asking questions, being curious about relevant sources. Your teachers want you to come up to them and say, here's my idea. What do you recommend? What should I watch? What should I listen to? What can I do here? Be receptive to these incredible professionals we've got in our team and their ideas. Listen, be open, be curious, and critically think about how you can take those ideas and then manifest them into your ideas for your FMP. The key word here is synthesis. Taking ideas, putting them together into your own unique alchemy. Can we see those ideas synthesize into your idea? Have you been comprehensive, looking at context and how that informs work, and have you clarified your purpose? Because if you've done that, you're giving me no choice but to give you a distinction. Because you've been comprehensive, you've understood your subject deeply and the context of the creatives within your 5 sources. You've got a clear purpose and ambition as a result. You've worked independently to show that curiosity and that focus to delve deep, to synthesize together your 5 sources and to build your idea from that. I've got no choice but to give you a distinction if that's the case. I will then give you some feedback in this bit here and tick the boxes that are relevant. And you, AL, who mark my marking, will see your wonderful work. So, task 1 of 6 is research. You have support, time, resource to create your best analysis work yet. The submission evidence one last time is as follows. You're going to be creating a research essay, analysing your 5 sources, and in doing so, telling me about the requirements of what is needed to create your final major projects. As always, speak to me if you need help with anything at all. Good luck.